Running never did much good. Hiding doesn't last forever. You can't run faster when it's you you're running from. So you throw your hands up like doves to the setting sun. Somewhere, John, the stars are falling like dews upon a thin black veil. You'll find the mysteries enthralling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation: heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
Today, I want to have a little fun with my podcast and present some ideas that I've had passed on to me from Offworlders. And the reason I'm saying I'm going to have some fun with it is because the subject matter might be a bit scary for some people, and I'm trying to make it funny so that it makes it so you're not scared of this, because there's no need to be scared of this. And it's just words. It's just my words, okay? What I want to talk about is there's a pretty slim to nil chance any of you will ever be abducted by aliens against your, which is always against your will. I mean, it's different if you're CE5 and you really want to go on board and you really want to do stuff. So, but in the meantime, I'm going to tell you why almost all of you would never get abducted. And you don't have to agree with me on any of this, but I still want to put it out there because I was not asked to, but kind of working in cooperation with some Offworlders to tell you this information. Okay, the number one reason why they are not going to want to abduct you is because a lot of the different species have a hard time with the way we communicate. Almost all of them are psychic. We are too. We just don't practice it, and we think we can't be, and there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way of that, but that's another topic for another podcast. Quite frankly, okay, so they don't need to talk. They use gesturing, and they use their telepathy. And what they find really horrible about us, it's to them very disturbing, is the way we communicate through speech. And our mouths are all moving, and some of us are spraying spittle, and there's many different dialects, and also the human language is broken down quite a bit so that things have so many slang meanings they never had before. And language is becoming quite fluent. But anyway, we also infuse so much emotion into what we're saying, right? And so think about it from their perspective. They're pretty tidy around their mouths, right? And they look at us, and here we are spewing forth the noises and emotion and spit and God knows what. And to them, that's kind of predatory symbology, right? So they do not want to hear us talk, and they don't want us to be around a lot of our talking because it's kind of disgusting. And in some ways, I can see their point of view. What they recommend to us is to get on board with American Sign Language because at least it's a step closer. We stop using our mouths to communicate, although some people do with American Sign Language, but to learn to do it without talking would be a really good idea, because that was just my little beeper thing. Because words are a great source of misunderstanding, and we hardly ever say what we mean. And so that kind of ties into the second point, and that is they are very sensitive. Like they can, often when I'm talking to them, they go, Karen, you don't need to be so intense. We are very sensitive. We can pick you up. Calm your thoughts. Calm yourself down. It was like I was yelling in my mind because I wasn't sure how to. It took me a while to get to sort of finesse the whole link up, right? Which is always on a higher mind level and does not involve physical talking, although I sometimes do talk to them because I'm only human, what can I say? And so we, in a world so full of distraction and noise and rambling thoughts and all of that, it expresses very loudly on a psychic level as well. And so they don't really like being around us much, even some of them, even from other parts of the galaxy that far away or even farther away, it's still, they have to adapt, tone down because we're that loud. Okay, so that's another one of our things that they don't really like about us. And then the third thing that links into the first two is basically as a species, we're insane. We have been so brainwashed and so programmed and reprogrammed, and there's so much of what they call cognitive dissonance, okay? Look that up. That is like really, really, really causes a lot of stress for a lot of people. And then just the stresses of being human in this construct. It's very difficult, I mean, there's a reason why all the great minds of the past were also kind of clinically, mentally disabled or physically disabled or something pretty profound that helps break the programming. And also the construct doesn't have a lot of use for you unless you're taking a lot of their pills or they can make a use out of you, but mostly, no, shut away for thousands of years. Well, no, that's in, white man's history. Actually, there has been in a lot of what they call, it's funny, in white culture, they call all the people of color minority. It's hilarious. And white is the minority. So brown or shades of whatever, anything that's not pasty white is actually majority, not minority. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, so the thing is that we're pretty nuts from adopting this Western way of being, and also brainwashing and propaganda and oh my God, on and on and on. And don't get me started on the advertising industry, okay? It's huge. No one ever talks about that. And it's programming you constantly and all the commercials on TV. And that's part of my 9-step free online course under free resources on my website. No strings attached, free course. I get into that too. So I got to tell you, Offworlders not really, really wanting to be around us. And there's other things too. Some of them have extremely sensitive smell. They can smell our blood, our feces, all our fluids. We're pretty squishy, fluidy. And then the other thing too is, especially since our air, our food, our water, all of that's been contaminated, we really don't smell that good. And that's why a lot of people are into the over scrubbing of the body and the over cleansing. And then to them, that just adds chemical smells on top of what's already there. And so they have a hard time with that too. And so then there's all the cultural differences. Humans tend to be quite rude and we all think we're right. And we all think opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, but everybody thinks everybody else is what stinks, And, it's just the human whatever, our condition, until we choose to practice doing it differently. So those are some of the reasons. I mean, they have all the genetic stuff they could ever want and need. They don't have to abduct humans. They don't have to take eggs. I mean, all of that is like so 1950s Western thinking and science fiction thinking. And it's like, absurd. I mean, we can't even imagine how we can't even wrap our heads around the fact that whales and dolphins and horses and elephants are smarter than us. I mean, we can't wrap our heads around culturally around that. So how are we going to wrap our heads around how culturally sophisticated some of these beings are? And so that's the other thing. The big thing they want us to know is don't take offense to this. This is just how it is. But it's all good because they're not really much into coming and changing. They can read terraform plans. They can do anything they want. They don't need anything really from us. We're an experiment that was started a long time ago, and they all contributed, and they're all watching to see, you know, how things go. And it's linked into a whole bunch of really deep stuff that I don't want to get into it. This is supposed to be fairly light. But ultimately, you know, the funny thing about this is anybody can talk to them. You know, you want to get started, get into Dr. Greer's CE5 movement, get into that and do some research. And that's a good starting place, okay? And it also is good for you because it involves meditation and stuff. But anyway, no insult, but they really don't want to be coming down and collecting us and parts of us. It's just ridiculous. It's just so beyond ridiculous. The other thing I want to tell you, too, is right now is a time of full disclosure, and I'm pretty excited about it, but I want you to not be fooled because a lot of what they're going to pass off as flying saucers and spaceships, that's all made by humans here in labs and, you know, Area 51 and places like that. It's all constructed, and you can tell by the extreme lack of imagination. Come on, I ask you to just open up your mind a little bit. If you were thousands of years more advanced than what we are and all of that, you know, it would just be technology that would be advanced. It would be art, and it would be beauty, and it would be biology, and combining biologies to make art. And oh my God, we can't even imagine where they could go. So I got to tell you something. I'll tell you how you'll tell if they're real. If they're real, you're going to see some spaceships like nothing you ever could have imagined. You're going to see, well, mostly they just can travel without having to do that, get in a boat and paddle across. They don't need to do that shit either because, you know, they're advanced and they're amazing and they're beyond what most of us could even think of. But there are different stages that they go through too. So those that would still use ships, and they might use ships so that we can feel more accepting of them because we don't pick them up maybe with our senses or whatever. I don't know. It's complex. It's complicated. Let's put it that way. It's not, but it is. So anyway, what I want to tell you is you want to see some amazing ships. They are going to be amazing. They're going to have a lot of amazing technologies that are going to be beautiful. And they're going to have shapes and things that are going to represent their culture. And so buckle up. It's going to get interesting. But I'm going to tell you it's a big sacrifice on most of their parts to want to come down and interact with us at all. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. So, bottom line, my message to you from the Offworlders that I communicate with, that I have access to, and some of their friends, they do not want to come and take you away. They don't want your ovaries. They don't need your sperm. They don't need none of that. In fact, if there's any of that shit going on, which I know there's a lot of evidence that there is, my guess is you need to do more research on Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra and, oh, God, what a mess. You could go down all those rabbit holes and learn a lot, but it's not pretty. The other thing, too, is because these are all buy into the construct, they lose their ability to really use their imaginations and to pull from other worlds and other realities. And so everything is like really boring and stupid. And they make so many mistakes, but it's also ego-driven. They don't want to admit they made a mistake. So they will construct all these things that they think they need to do to fool people, but it's ridiculous. And again, you know, stick with your ascension programs because when you get to a certain point, you're going to see how absurdly funny most of this is. Now, I know the suffering is real and it's terrible and all that jazz, but it's only for a short time more. I'll tell you that right now. And you can sleep well at night knowing they're not going to come and take you away. It's not going to happen. And it's a big sacrifice for them to be involved. And if there is any human special beings, they're probably from our own solar system. They're probably just like us, and we might not even know. I don't know. It's hard to say in this reality, the new reality, what's real. I mean, oh my God. I don't know if you've done any research on the Mandela effect, but I've actually personally experienced it, and so I know we're not in Kansas anymore. So anyway, grab Toto, get on your bike, pack your lunch, buckle up. It's going to be interesting. Much love.
Lion only makes you hurt. Denying only makes it worse. Love and surrender seem the fastest way to bring an end to bitter, painful days. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil. You will thrill to hear your calling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.